and I am here with my buddy, my friend, my partner, Chris Villani, performance strategist specialist, rise of the super athlete. How are you, Mr. Villani?
I'm doing great, but I'll get better, so no worries here.
So, refresh the memory of those 7 people that have not heard you on this show before, and tell them what it is that you do.
I help athletes rise up and on the field.
And most of that is high school, college athletes?
Typically, yeah, I find middle school, high school, college. It's typically people who are like scholarship level, trying to either get All-American. Some, actually, I've got people who were wanting to get to the Olympics is their goal and idea, and some actually get into the major leagues. So I work with, hey, look, if they have the heart, we're going to make it happen.
And one of the things you and I talked about, which is why I love you, you have taught me that you really, as a business person, you should treat your life and your discipline like a professional athlete, and you will find that you can be productive and more efficient, just like a professional athlete would do.
Right. Well, there's a cross between, and of course, we talk about business here. So we got 2 different businesses that we're going to be interviewing today. The mindset's the same. The same relentless, tough, creating a vision, adapting, that whole discipline remains the same. And that's really what we're talking about, is ingrain it every day, build a vision, and keep doing what others won't.
So remind everybody, how did you get started? I mean, you didn't wake up one day and say, I'm gonna help a fat guy like Joe. You know, how did that happen?
You know, working with people has always been a hobby of mine. But it was you know.
I was a hobby. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, well, it's something I love. I like it when people win. This is the biggest thing that I love doing, is when I have someone come and see me, for example, that I get to hear a story. Thank you. You know, my son or daughter's changed. Or I've made these different changes. Of course, with you, we get to talk about it, so we get to hear what you're doing. But really, for me, it was more of if you're going to leave a legacy, there's a way I can do it. This is one of the ways that I can do it. And no matter what, I'm working with somebody and I'm always growing, and it's their art. It's not me. It's when people think about it, they want to come to me because they think they need to be fixed. They're not broken. They work perfectly. All we're going to do is learn how to create different ways and strategies for them to go out and just own the day at 100% at their level.
I don't think I've ever said this to you, as much as we've talked, as many times as you've been on. You're one of my favorite co-hosts. So we keep calling back. You know,
love the show.
I have mentors in my life that I think are as special to me as my wife and son. Right.
Nice.
I now put you in that category. Right. You know, because of what you've done for me. So I now that I'm sitting here looking at you, and you said you like to be a part of people's lives in that way and help people, you have done that, right? So I see that now in you, that you know, you're a part of my life. You helped me lose 80 pounds, right? You know, and that's not something that I will ever forget. I might disown you 6 weeks from now, but I will never forget what it is you gave me and the tools that you gave me to help me sort of control this on my own.
Yes, exactly. And that's
if you remember correctly, I told you that, you know, I'd lost some weight, and then through the football season, I ate a few pizzas, you know, and I gained about another 15 pounds back, right? But what you gave me is, in my mind, I can't wait till it gets a little bit warmer, because I know how I'm going to get that 15 pounds off. And that's really what you gave me, not losing weight, you know, that control.
It's the art. Again, it's how you live your life is going to be up to you, but if you live it on your terms without acquiescing in anything else, do it. Have fun with that. I think what people do is they get off course or off track, and then what they do is they become their worst enemy. They got that little bully in their head that tells them, well, this is the way it is, and they want to go back to the old story. And you've got to think about it. In reality, you're either going to be living in the past, or you got a compelling vision in the future. And the compelling vision has to be one that's probably changing, but whenever you get off course, you can go, okay, what would I want to do? What would I want to see? How would I want to navigate this area? Maybe I want to take a back road to my destination. Maybe I want to fly or take a swim or whatever else. And that way it's your journey. Because here's the thing about it. If you own everything and you're the one that decides, I want to take my trip on my way, it means more to you.
Well, and it reminds me of the best thing you did for me, other than asking, do you have to eat the whole pizza?
Right.
You know, so you said, Joe, let's create a new Joe 2.0.
There we go.
What does the Joe you want look like? And Joe, you didn't hand it to me.
No.
You didn't say, Joe, this is the Joe we're going to do. You said, what is it? You decide. You didn't answer it. You left that day, and you had me thinking, what would the Joe that I wanted, what would that look like?
Right.
And so that's really what you're talking about here.
Right.
What is your next 2.0? What does that look like? What does tomorrow look like? And what's so interesting for that in a business setting, the modern business person will have 7 different careers.
Yes.
So So it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pack up. You know? I mean, listen, I can go through the different businesses that I owned. Listen, and my experience was only the restaurant business when I got started, right? You know, I knew how to make sandwiches and wash dishes, right? And I took that into, you know, closet manufacturing business, you know, and video arcades and magazine sales, you know, and so I moved those skills into other directions that I had interests in, and I could only do that because I would wake up one day and decide I'm ready to do something. I can remember 16 years ago waking up one day telling my wife, honey, I think I'm going to be a business broker. And I just decided, you know what I mean?
What was her? I'm just curious. Was she like, yeah, go for it, or was she?
Well, my wife clearly knows that you don't say no to me, right? You know, she said, okay, what does that look like? Right. You know, okay, what does that look like? Like, you know, she didn't even know what a business broker was, right?
Oh, she's like, I'm not sure what this.
Well, up until then, I had this small capital investment firm. You know, but back then I tell people, I had a small capital investment firm, but that was back before there was a cool name for it. You know, I just help people buy a business, take a little piece on the way in and take a little piece on the way out. I didn't know they had cool names for it, like capital investment. So when I explained to my wife that it means I'm going to help people sell their business, and she said, oh, you mean you don't have to invest your money into the business? No, she liked that. Right?
She's like,
no risk? Okay, I like that one better.
Imagine the buy-in on that one. She's like, yeah, go for it.
Right.
You got it.
Okay, we have rambled too much. You're supposed to do something from the Google, but we got just a short period of time. What do you want to do today?
So I'm going to flip the script. And
boy, this is not good. I've heard that statement before. This is not going to be good.
Well, it's going to be good because I think, you know, as we come on here, we've talked about a couple different things that make businesses grow. We talked about processes. We talked about different business strategies. We talked about identities and all these different things. But from what I wanted to do, you've owned a business before.
A few.
You've had practice. There's some practices that we've probably talked about and things that probably stick to the top of your head that are kind of, if you were to think about them now, I mean, they may not be your 1, 2, 3s, but if someone was coming to you and said, hey, look, I'm either starting a business or I've got this business. What are a couple different things that you would say, here are some areas I can think of or look at that you should probably at least be on the top of your radar, or you should be at least disciplined in doing? What would those things be?
Thanks for the question. Okay, first of all, if you're trying to start a business from scratch, the first thing I'm going to tell you is you really do need to validate and try. And when I use the word perfect, I don't mean perfect. Right. Fine tune might be a better word. What your product or service is and the value you want to sell it for. That's the biggest mistake that new people make. They say, let's say cupcake. It doesn't matter what you be. It could be a software, which happens recently. That somebody develops a software program, right? You know, and they believe the value of that thing is $700 a month. That's how valuable it's going to change the way you do business, right? Insurance agents all across the world are going to need this software program, and you're going to want to pay $7 a month. Guess what? They're willing to pay $72 a month. And so that's what you need to do is validate that they want it. And sort of perfect, fine-tune what the value is that they're willing to pay. Because that determines whether it's a viable business or not.
So how would someone do that? Because that's a good point.
Great. I could give you 3 or 4 of them, but I want to bore people. Let's use the cupcake guy. He wants to sell cupcakes because he makes the best cupcakes in all the Cornelius.
You're going to be
sure you do. Sure you do. So make your cupcakes, go to the flea market, sell them and try and sell them for $1, $2, $3.
Okay.
Let's see what people are willing to pay.
Right.
Let's find out.
Okay.
Then we can put a performa together that I was able to sell the cupcakes at a flea market for $1.75, which means in a retail store I might be able to get $2, $2.25, right?
Okay.
So let's see what they're willing to pay, and then I can create a performa based on what people want to pay. Also, let's make 20 different types of products, and let's see what the top 5 are.
Nice.
So
I like
know.
that.
So you're
go.
validating where to go and where to get started. I'll give you another example. Somebody came to me this week and thinking about starting a therapy business, right?
Okay.
And they believe they've got, and I don't want to give it away, right? You know what I mean? But they believe they can go up to different piece of the market, and they have this marketing. They believe they can knock on the door and create a seminar, and after the seminar, they're going to be able to get 2 or 3 clients.
Okay.
And I said, okay. Validate that. Oh, I don't have to. I'm sure that's going to happen. Prove it to yourself. And that's what I mean by validation.
Yeah.
So that's the first piece of advice I would give anybody that thinks they've got the best idea in the world and they're ready to start. Right. I'll give you another. Got a buddy of mine. We smoke cigars. He loves to fly fish. He created this metal tube. He manufactured it, got a patent on it.
Nice.
And it fits in your pocket, so you can put the cigar in the pocket. It doesn't burn your pocket while you're catching that fish, right?
Nice.
Joe, man, we're going to sell these all over the country. Okay. Make 20 of them. Find 1 or 2 fish bait shops, drop it in there, and let's see
what happens.
Well, they sold, but he had to manufacture them at $15 a piece.
Okay.
He couldn't sell them but for $6 a piece.
Ooh.
So what we learned is the product and the service that goes with it, the value isn't what we need it to be for that to be a viable business. So that's the number one, since we really don't have a lot of time, that's the only thing I'm going to give everybody today. But that is, you absolutely want to make sure you are validating. Again, I'm using the word perfect, but I mean fine-tune what it is, that the product or service that you want to provide. Chris, you know this better than anybody else. I have so many really smart, sharp executives that quit what they're doing and want to be executive. They want to be coaches. The problem is they want to coach in an industry, which is small business, that they know nothing about.
Right.
And they think they can break into it because we small business people are going to say, oh, wow, you work for a Fortune 5 company? You can help me? Here's $1,000 a month to help me. And you know what they're learning? Small business people are saying, prove to me that you can take that experience, which is vast, right? And help me, the small business guy, doing less than $1 million a year in gross. And if you can't do that, you don't have value and you cannot sell, which means they didn't perfect, they didn't validate the fact that their service, whether it's marketing or CFO or CIO, whatever it is they want to provide, will actually translate into small business market that they want to sell. They can do it, but can they sell it for a value that the clients willing to pay?
Very nice. I love it. And the other thing, too, ego. Does ego get in the way? I knew you would have that.
Welcome to us small business people. But here's the reason why ego is it's a double-edged sword. I could have never built the largest I built the largest closed market environment restaurant concept in the Southeast, right? Nice. I built it during the 80s. I built it because they needed office buildings, needed some kind of amenity inside the office building so they could rent the space, right? Okay. It wasn't because Joe was the best and smartest and brightest
most brilliant
restaurant
person, right? Yep.
But I thought I was at the time, right? You don't go from one sandwich shop to over 40, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, and then another 18 in Jacksonville, Florida, and a 26 in Nashville, Tennessee. You don't do that without thinking you're the man, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And many people saying this was foolish, it wasn't right, each restaurant wasn't making that much money, you know what I mean? This was a very challenging business to step into. Most people couldn't even make money inside these office buildings. So I hear no all the time. So when I succeed over the nose, including no's from people like my dad and stuff like that, right? And I succeed, and then you come to me and want to tell me something, I'm going to have a hard time listening to you because you're going to have to prove to me, because I have proven it to myself that I can make this work. So that ego, here's the mistake with that. Okay. Yes, I can do that in a closed market environment sandwich shop, right? But I think I can do it for any business, right? I mean, if I can do it for this business, I can do it. And that's the mistake most small business people make. They think that the skill they have and or learned or perfected in one area, one industry, would naturally just transfer into others. That is not necessarily a true statement.
Gotcha.
So, and that's why the profession of coaching is becoming so much bigger. We're starting to learn that our ego needs to be limited to the skill we know.
There's a saying that says, "Don't let your ego be your amigo."
Yep.
Get in your own way. So.
Don't let your ego be your
amigo. That's right.
But you told me look in the mirror and say, I love you, Joe.
Well, you know what?
I look in the mirror and say, I'm the best looking man in Cornelius. As my wife is behind me laughing at me the whole time.
Well, what I always tell people is you should look in the mirror and go all in with who you are. But there's a thing about that. It's knowing what your outcome is and not driving a Pinto and thinking you're in a Ferrari.
Right.
That's two different things. See it for as it is, but don't think it's worse.
Right.
So, or seeing it as it's
in my
better.
case, it's my wife behind me, riding me, and then no, you're not.
Well, it goes back to, just because you did one business and you're excellent at it, it doesn't mean you can walk into another business. I come from the Microsoft world, the software world, where a lot of people who think they could dominate that world, where it's constantly changing. You constantly different roles. They go into a new business and they're realizing, I'm not getting their respect and admiration, and they don't know who I am, and they start. It's a downward spiral from that point until they learn how to recoup.
We got to go. We got to get the other guest in here as soon as possible. Let's take a break, and we'll come back. We'll get our other guest here. She's not going to have but 7.2 seconds to say hi.
Well, we can get that.
Okay. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll be right back.